screen, and then I'll move into the next session. So I'll be doing on the Copilot Studio 101. So let's see if you have heard or if you have seen, can we have a can you please raise your hand, and I'll know how many people have already seen it. So let me quickly see. So yeah, probably yeah. So I saw one hand coming up. So you haven't much heard about the Copilot Studio, so it's fine. We can go through today. I saw, I think, another hand, Anshana. So let's go through the session and then probably get to know more about it. So I have some demos as well, and then I also have some updates from the Microsoft Build. Microsoft Build have a lot of updates on the Copilot Studio recently, so which is exciting as well. So what we're gonna have happen and what we're gonna have as features and what's coming up in the near future. So let's move with the slide. So what is Copilot? So we'll start with the Copilot. What is Copilot? Basically, so Copilot is actually giving you experience, using generative AI. They use the generative AI to assist the humans with complex and cognitive tasks. I mean, you may have come across the like ChatGPT, and then probably Microsoft Designer or any other tool which generate images or generate the text, or even that Meta GPT-4, or if you have recently seen, that would actually give you the capability have the multimodal visions, like multimodal, so it can provide you with text and then also provide with you images, so it can understand the images, it can understand the videos as well. So it's like text and video, text, and then also the images, and then all those different models into together. So you'll have the multimodal kind of a scenario. So the Copilot is actually using this generative AI, technology, and it's actually part of one of the AI as well. So I mean, AI, if you take the AI, it's one subset of AI is the generative AI as well. And so the Microsoft Copilot Studio is basically it's an end-to-end conversation and AI platform. So that's what we're gonna discuss further, and that empowers you to create and customize copilots using natural language and graphical interface. So I'll show you today that now we have the capability that you can put in the text, like you can put your prompt and then generate the chatbot directly. So that is a new feature which I'm gonna demonstrate today. And you can also easily design, test, and publish the copilots, that suit your specific needs. So if you want to customize, you can actually customize those Copilot Studio from the Copilot Studio. So you can actually customize. So there's a standard Copilots which comes out of, like, I mean, standard in the sense like you have Microsoft 365 Copilot. So if you want to extend that, you can extend it through Copilot Studio. And similarly, you have for if it's F&O, finance and operation, then you can actually extend it through Copilot Studio as well. So there are all backend. It will be going back to the Copilot Studio that you can actually use to extend it. So extend in the sense like if you want to add any features, any skills, or anything that you want to fulfill that which is not coming out of the standard. So if you want to do some agent activities, so the agent will be another point that we will discuss in the future in upcoming the slides. I will be discussing on that. That would have the agent capabilities that Microsoft was discussing on the Microsoft Build recently, on I think probably 2 days back. So with that, I'll also go and explain a bit more on the terms that you need to be familiar with when you're using the Copilot Studio. So the Copilot, which we were looking at earlier, so the Copilot is an intelligent AI assistant, which actually helps, which actually use the generative AI and LLMs. So the LLMs are standing for the large language model. So if you see the third one is the large language models. So it's type of an AI model that is trained on massive data sets. and LLMs are a subset of generative AI LLMs. And I I think now it's the latest one, the GPT-4o. So the Omni, which is the multimodal capability. And then if you think about the Copilot Studio, I think I was checking yesterday. So I think the one when I was checking, it was 3.5, but I think in the Microsoft build, they were mentioning they're gonna use 4, and then I think they're using 4, and then they're gonna move that from 4 to 4.0, because the 4.0 will be better in terms of the cost perspective, and then also the performance, and then also the multimodal, so it can understand not only text, it can understand image and video as well. And generative AI, so generative AI is basically describing the AI models that can, produce human-like content from text, images, code, and other type of media, right? So that's what generative AI stands for. So we did talk about LLMs, Copilot, these ones, and then the RAG. So the RAG is basically the retrieval augmented generation. It is a process that uses in the AI models to retrieve the relevant information from a knowledge source and incorporate into the generated text. But it's not gonna train the LLMs, as far as I know, but it will be used to generate the text from the knowledge sources. So the GPTs is the generative pre-trained transformers. So that's what it stands for. That's actually the transformers is actually a AI concept or a method that's been identified initially from Google, and then later on it was used by the OpenAI, and that's where it's actually, mass scale to everyone using GPT 1, 2, 3, and then after that, from the Chat GPT, it actually, what happened. Everyone knows what happened after that, right? So, and then also we have the plugins as well. Plugins are pretty much like skills that you can use to extend the Copilot experiences. So you can have different plugins in the Copilot Studio as well. So you can plug in different skills to the Copilot Studio. So that's there. And then the connectors. So the connectors we have, like, I think probably it's not now 1,200. Probably it's close to 1,400 connectors in the Power Platform solution. So you have a lot of connectors, inbuilt connectors, which you can, use the connectors to get information and get and then connect, different sources together, so that there are connectors. So for an FNO, you'll have connectors. So um, if you're using any like CE or FNO, or maybe some of the other platforms, then you have different connectors that you can use. So you can use the connectors inside the Copilot Studio as well. And then I'll be showing one of the connectors that we can use, so that we'll get more information on how we can use the connectors inside the Copilot Studio as well. So with that, we'll go to the Copilot Studio. So we were discussing on the Copilot Studio, what is it? It is an end-to-end low-code conversational AI platform for extending the Microsoft Copilot or building your own Copilot. So basically, you can do two tasks. You can extend the existing Copilots, or you can build your own custom Copilots, right? So I'm going to show you building custom Copilot today, but there are capability there is capability that you can extend the Microsoft Copilot inside as well. So it could be Microsoft 365 Copilot, or it could be any other Copilot, like, Dynamics 365 Finance Operations Copilot as well. I believe the BC as well. I think the previously, which Azure was showing, I think that's backend is a Copilot Studio, so that should be also able to extend. I haven't looked into it, but I think that's the same technology that would be in use. So the Copilot Studio will be able to connect to, Microsoft Graph. So that's where, you can get information from the graph on the Microsoft Office side of it, and then the Microsoft Dataverse. So if you have any data in the Dataverse, you can actually get from the Copilot Studio, can write back into the Dataverse, or you can get information from the Dataverse as well. So that's what's going to happen. And then the Microsoft Fabric, I'm not sure whether that's available right now as a data source, but that's going to come as far as I know. And then the Copilot connectors, so that's the 1,400 external connectors that you will see. So let's look at what happened, how generative AI changed the conventional AI. So before the generative AI, you can see, like, how much the time has been spent on building the topics, because the topics, when we go into the details on the demo, we can show you the topics. Topics is, for an example, you can say, you can think of like, if you put in some prompt, or if you put in some details on like, if you ask anything like, example, like the one which I'm going to build is going to be a boundary buddy, which is actually a cricket app which I'm going to build. So if you ask any topic on that, like if you give a certain question on, what would be the, and what is cricket or something like that. So if you type it in what is cricket, then you would actually get to that will actually go into a topic, because the topic will understand which topic it's going to go in based on your triggers, and then it will actually give you the result back in. So either using generative AI or either using any other mechanism of the connectors. You can use the connectors, you can put in text, you can take some variables from your prompt and then keep inside as well. So there's a lot of things you can do, but you need to have topics inside that you have to create. So if you are doing a greetings, or if you're doing thank you, all this will have individual, you can have individual topics on those ones. So you have to spend a lot of time in building these topics previously, before the generative AI time. So that's what it's been mentioning here. And then the conversations missed or escalated. There are a lot of missed conversations, and then it could escalated because you cannot fulfill all the requirements of from the topics that you have, because there are a lot to be covered. Because if you haven't used the generative AI, that you had to spend a lot of time building it, and then even if you build it, you might miss a lot of the other conversations, and then you need to still fill in those gaps. So that's how it was before the generative AI, and then let's look at how after the generative AI. So the beauty of now is basically, so if you give an website to Copilot Studio, then it actually knows if you ask any questions from from that website. But if it's previously, then you have to actually guide through the topics. But now it's not the case. So now it's actually manually authored topics. So you actually you can actually give it to the generative AI to handle that part of it, and then it actually can quickly learn from the public sources that you're giving, so that the time that you spent on building the topics will be drastically reduced. And you can also see the topics are handled by generative AI answers and the actions as well. So that's where it is currently. So that's why it's a real revolution in that sense of it, the time and the value that you can bring to the customers because of these changes, right? Because of the generative AI. So that's purely the reason. The generative AI was the reason, nothing else, for this drastic change on the conversational AI. And let's look at some architecture and patterns. So we have, so this is kind of a architecture that you can look at. So you can see that the Microsoft Copilot Studio test chat, and then you have the message moderations, query optimization, so the conversation state stored, and also I think there are a lot of new updates as well. So the memory has been improved. The memory that it can handle currently, it has been improved. So that's been also notified through the Microsoft build recently. And then after that, information retrieval, summarization, provenance validation, and summary, moderation, response delivery, and then the customer apps insights. So you have generative answers architecture here. So Copilot Studio internal stores. So these are the internal stores that you can see, and then the message URL is summary. And then if you're using the external sources like internal sources, this is Azure OpenAI. So this is not the ChatGPT. This is going to be the Azure OpenAI. So it's secured. It's inside the Azure. The model is inside the Azure, and it's not going to give the information, or it's not going to train external LLMs. So it's going to be internally that you will be consuming, and you can use that Azure OpenAI. So that's why it's secured. and then you're using the LLM, all the capabilities, but you're not training or you're not publicly putting all the information of your sensitive data back. Right. So there are some design patterns that there are like stage one design patterns. So you author topics, you have a unified authoring canvas. I'll show you the unified authoring canvas and then the Copilot assisted authoring. So you have stage one, stage two. So frequently asked, questions, scripted responses, Copilot Studio topics, right? And then frequently ask why question and answering. And then you have stage three, so generated responses. Responses are generated from generative answers or large language models. And then stage four, the escalation. So if you can't fulfill from that, you can escalate it to the omnichannel or the live agent. So if there's a situation like maybe the user wants to talk to an agent, or could be the pre-trained or the Copilot couldn't handle this respective situation, then it'll actually hand it over to the live agent, and the live agent would take it over from there, and then they would be taking it over, right? So this is basically kind of design patterns that you can have. This is showing how the generated sponsors are plugged into the Copilot Studio, basically, right? And next up, how do you infuse the generative AI into topics examples? So there are patterns like pattern one, generative answers, and if no answer, fallback. And then the pattern two, fallback, and your current fallback logic example, like question answering. And then your second layer, if no results are turned, then use the generative answers. And the pattern three, like you have topic one, topic two, topic three. So these topics we will show what are the topics, and then individual topics, new topic, merging previous topics, trigger phrases, and using generative answers. Or topic four, topic five. So new topic B with generative answers. So you can have pattern one, pattern two, pattern three. So there are different patterns you can built in the topics. So which we will look into later. And the security and compliance is one of the key parts. So the large language models, Copilot Studio depends upon the foundation models trained by OpenAI. So generative answers users, I think this is now GPT-4. And then what I heard is GPT-4o, which they're gonna move into. So models are hosted on internal Azure OpenAI services. Models are accessed and used following Microsoft responsible AI principles. So why Microsoft responsible AI principles are important? Because it has to be ethical. It has to be giving the proper responses back, and then it should not discriminate people. There are certain principles. There are 5, 6 principles that which Microsoft have on the responsible AI. So you have to adhere to these principles. So when Microsoft is designing these systems, they actually adhere to the responsible AI principles. And if you see any of the features that you have in FNO or maybe BC, you would see the responsible AI section separately in the documents, so that they're actually taking care. And also, if you are building a new custom AI solution, you have to be taken care of these responsible AI. So that's vital to be taken care, because a lot of the time that people are not much concerned on the responsible AI, but this is actually a very important factor when you're designing any AI system, that matter. And custom instructions can be added to generative answers to influence format and filters and data storage and processing. So the Copilot Studio generative AI capabilities may result in data movement across regional boundaries. But when local data storage or processing are not available in the region, and environment settings are available to disable, there are environment settings that you can disable if you are not able to, when the local data storage and processing are not available in the region. So you could do this. So you have to be careful when you're creating a Copilot Studio, what are the requirements that you have for the Copilot Studio, and then based on that, you have to actually, do it, because sometimes your data might be very critical, so it cannot go beyond the boundaries, because some countries won't allow you to go beyond the boundaries. That doesn't mean that it's going within the same Microsoft platform, I mean micro storages, but it's in different boundaries. So you have regional boundaries in some countries, so you have to be very careful when you're designing solutions for that. Copilot Studio does not collect or provide the customer data for use to training LLMs. So that's what I was mentioning earlier. So they not used for training the large language models. For operations purpose only, conversations are stored temporarily in service operated and secured store. So if Microsoft want to access, they have a just-in-time method to access these, information. Uh, but it's not. It is controlled through the customer logbox. So it is a controlled access, but the Microsoft have access, but that is for troubleshooting purposes mostly. Generative AI capabilities log additional troubleshooting data as well, and then giving existing control layers to avoid logging for customer data. So Azure OpenAI abuse monitoring is disabled for Copilot Studio generative AI features. So there are existing, existing control layers that to avoid, logging of the customer data, basically. So this is basically how it looks like on the life cycle of Copilot. So you create a Copilot and design the conversation, and then publish into different channels. So different channels mean it can be website, apps, social media, would be WhatsApp or Facebook, something like that. So you can decide the channels when you're publishing it, and then control and improve. Because once you design a system, it's not going to be end with the LLMs, with the copilots, because there will be a lot of improvements that you have to do later on. Because when you start, you will start with some kind of a small POC, then MVP, and then you'll put into a smaller subset where you can easy to target the low hanging fruit, and then design a solution for the low hanging fruit, and then after that you get the buy-in from your company that you are working, and then you can go into the bigger picture of the copilot. So generally I would recommend to start small and then go into the bigger challenges and bigger requirements and stuff like that. So make sure you start small, and then that will help you to go the journey. And build and publish and analyze and improve. So this is the new method, or the side life cycle which Microsoft was proposing and showing. So which is pretty much the same. So what I was mentioning. So it have the integrate the AI services, and then you can monitor and improve as well. So with the interest of time, I would go into the demos so that we can spend more time on the demo as well. So let me start sharing my screen and let me know. Um, let me go in here. So so this is the Copilot Studio. Hope everyone can see. So let me start from the Copilot Studio. Let me refresh in. Right. So probably I'll go to the home screen, and then I'll start creating a new chatbot. So this is the new capability that you can describe your Copilot to create it. So previously you didn't have that feature. So I'm going to create a new Copilot. So I'm gonna say, so I'm gonna actually, I'm a avid fan of cricket, so I play cricket as well, and so because of that, I would take the cricket as well as an example. So I'll go into creating the app, which could um, help to create, like to answer the cricket questions basically. So I will say, create a chat bot which can answer cricket related questions. Uh, questions. Yeah. Also, I'll say I'm not sure it's gonna do it, but I've seen the demos it done, and also rename the chatbot as I have this number, so I'll put in boundary buddy 2 because I already have the other one which I created. So because of that, I'm not sure it's gonna rename it, but let's see. Oh, so let's didn't go well. So let's restart again. Let's try. Create. Let's see, hopefully this time. Yeah, okay, cool. So you can see on the right side, the Copilot, you see detect the language, primary language is English, and then the chatbot name boundary buddy to design to answer cricket related queries. So what to include here? So I can give information on. Okay, so I asked, can you help me with what to include here? So of course, so it's telling me cricket information. It will provide detail of responses, any specific cricket topics it will cover, and how it will engage with users seeking cricket-related access. So here I would say, please use sources, yes, public sources, ESPN info. So I'll say www, ESPN info, and so I had the other one. So let me get the Western. So it's a Western. And Western.com as your sources, as the main sources. So let's see. Let's see whether that can detect our sources. So yes, it actually detected. So primarily use the ESPN and Cricinfo and Western.com, right? And do you have any instruction for boundary buddy to? Yeah. So I would say instruction wise, please do not answer any other question apart from cricket related. So hopefully if it detected correctly, it'll put in with the red here. So non-cricket related questions. So you can see here. So this is so it actually took that non-cricket related questions. And what it asking, any tips? No other tips, let's say, but if you have any tips you can give. So it should be finishing now. Current boundary buddy 2 will solely rely on these two resources for cricket related information. Are there any topics or tasks that boundary buddy shouldn't help with or talk about? Shouldn't talk about any other topic apart from cricket related. Any question? Right, let's see. Right, I'm done. So, and when you're done here, you could also test it out as well. So now you notice on the right side, you can actually test it here, but without testing, I can actually go and create it as well. So, but you have a chance to test it as well before creating it. You can see on the right side. So let's say create. So yesterday when I tried, it didn't rename the bot, but let's see whether it'll do today. So what's happening behind the scene is basically it'll use the public sources, the information which I give public, the websites that which I given to train. And then if you see the knowledge area, then you can see those. So this is still loading. You can see this description is still loading. And you can see the knowledge. So now what has happened, actually, this is actually a change on the UI side of it. If you have used the previous version, so you see the testing on the right side now. And then also you have the overview, knowledge, topics, actions, analytics, and channels here on top of it. You have the tabs here. So previously it was a different, UI. So now you have a better UI, I would say. I like this new UI. And then also you have the details here. So this is actually have the details. So this actually didn't rename the name Cricket Chatbot Buddy. So yeah, I think here it renamed the way it wanted, but it's actually put in Cricket Chatbot Buddy, but I had a different name here, so it actually didn't detect that part of it. But you can always go and then change the name and then save it. So the way you want to save, whichever the number and name you want to give, and then the icon as well. You can change the icon here as well if you want to change the icon. So let's put in cancel this one, and then you have the instructions. So the instructions are actually basically like the prompt, meta prompt that you use. So this is the meta prompt which has been given. So if you have a proper meta prompt, you can give in. I'm just giving like for an example on this perspective. And then also you have the AI capabilities are enabled here. And then you can see the sources as well. So if you want to edit or delete these sources, you can go and do that. And then these are the topics which I was mentioning. So if you see, these are the topics that I have. So goodbye. So these are different topics. So I'll get into these topics, actions, and the published status. So let's test this one out and see if it's replying for our questions. So let's see. So let's see what is the highest, test, highest total scored test match in test cricket. So let's see. Let's see if it can produce the answer. So this is 952 for 6, which is actually done by Sri Lanka. And then you can actually go to the link as well. So this is the link. So if you notice that I haven't done any training or anything like that, I've just given the I've just given that public site, and then it actually able to detect whichever the source and then find out the correct information directly from there. So let me refresh it. Not sure. Too many things open probably on my side. Let me refresh again to come back where we are. Yeah, still refreshing. Yeah, 2 pages are not responding. Let me refresh again. But you notice that we can actually get the information straight away. So I didn't do much of it. You actually use the generative method. You put in the somehow it doesn't want to load. Probably what I'm going to do, I'll just remove this page again. Let's see if this time it won't respond, hopefully. Yeah, so it's coming now. So let's go into the bot again. So if you notice that previously it actually did, give me the correct answer, and then let's check some more questions and see if it's giving me the correct answer. So this would be a tricky one. Let's see whether this can be answered. So when will the T20 cricket World Cup 2024 will be starting? Let's see, it can detect exactly find information. Okay, let's see. Okay, this time it gives me the correct answer because yesterday when I was trying, gives me correct answer first time, but did it second time it didn't give me the correct answer. So it actually gave me from where? So June 1st in the Americas, so relatively correct in the Americas. Um, so it gives me the source as well where it is actually taken. So because I've given the Western as well as the ESPN Quick Info, but this time he actually selected the Western.com to answer. Sorry, but it is actually correct. So on that side, you can also see where it is going in terms of this should be showing here, but I'm not sure why it is probably on because there are some changes going on as well, I believe, because I noticed yesterday as well. There are some changes happening because the model was answering some questions, some are not answering. I believe there are still some changes going, believe it's not giving me a good grade or not responding properly. I don't know why. Uh, Close some stuff from my side then to hope for the speed. So let's try again one more question. Let's see how many matches did let's see, yeah, let's see whether it can detect how many matches Kumar Sangakkara played for Sri Lanka. So 404 matches on ODI and so let's see 134 tests. Let's see whether it's correct. So 134 and then 404, that's yeah, it's on top of the mark on that. But the other thing that you would notice here, so that's the one I wanted to show, but actually not giving me this properly. Don't know why on this side of it. Because I could go in here. Basically, I could actually think something happening today, to be honest. The answers are correct, but I think I don't know where some slowness somewhere. Let me show something easy what is prepared. Because I just wanted to show how it moves from the second C. Yeah. Hopefully this loads so that I can show you. Let's give you a few seconds to load, but it was not like this yesterday, to be honest. But okay, let me try. Let me try the one which I created yesterday. I don't know whether the new one would be the problem. So I go to the yesterday, the one which I created here. So it entered 2 times. Never mind. somehow it is having a problem anyway. So it's not loading, but I don't know why. Yeah, let me show the other part of it because there's some issue on that side of it. So you can see the overview here. So you see the knowledge which we were discussing. So if you see that this is the one which will enable the AI part of it, and these are the topics. So if you want to enable or disable any topic, so normally when you get the default one, you have to go to the CO. So that's where this is what we used to see earlier. So if you go to the overview, you can see that that's not visible here on the topics level. So you have to go see all, or otherwise you can go, and if you want to delete any of the topics, you can do that, but only the first three you can see here. You don't see all of it. So if you want to see all, you go to here. So here you'll actually go in, and then I mean, generally these ones, you will disable these ones, right? So this is actually, I've been disabled this one, but if I go to the one which I created now, let it loads, then I go to the topics, you can see this is already enabled. So make sure that you disable this one because this is actually using the existing existing topics. So this is kind of a topic that you have, which I was mentioning earlier. The topics, I don't know, it's not loading the topic side of it today. Right. So if you go here, if you want to disable the topics, then you can go here and then you can turn off these topics like that. So just turn off your, the yeah, you can turn off, right? So likewise, you can turn off these ones because otherwise it might trigger these topics because there are certain triggers which being used on these ones. So you can actually disable these ones if it's not required. So that's how to do it. And the overview, you won't see that you can only delete, you can't, disable it from here. So you have to go to COL and do it. And then there's actions as well here. So you can add new actions. So example, like get forecast for today. So you can actually add in the weather kind of thing. So that's where I've added in the boundary body. So let me go here and then I show you the action. So under the actions, you can see that this is the this is where you can do the plugin action name. So you can give a name, what is the display name, forecast for today, and in description you create a message, and then you have end user. There's a new authentication method. So this is another one of the new features which came in, like the use authentication and the Copilot. Not sure whether it's a new feature, but I think this is available, I believe now. But I believe I think this was mentioned on that one. I think probably it's a new feature. When we go into the slides, we can have a look again. But this is having the use authentication and the Copilot auto authentication. And you have the usage description, and then you have MSN whether it's on and enabled, right? So the best part of it is, so if you ask, so let me try to use the actions for that. So this is the action. So that's already here. If you have action, you can see it here. So let me try to trigger the action. So I'll say, what is the weather in Sri Lanka? Yeah, I probably should have said Colombo, but let's see. It will be asking the location because it needs the location to give. So it'll ask the location, the Colombo. So this is actually using the action. So likewise, you can get different actions to do these kind of activities. And even if you want to write back to Dataverse or something like that, you can do it using these actions. So please wait while I retrieve the weather, and the weather at Colombo is 25 degrees Celsius. So let's ask another one. What is the weather in Auckland? No, not sure whether it'll get that intent to the Auckland, or probably it might ask the location again. Let's see. Yeah, it was the location. So this is Auckland, where I'm in. And let's see how it is. Probably 16, maybe. Oh, I don't think it's right, I guess. 25, I'm not sure. I don't think this is 25 today. Yeah. Yeah, I have to check on that action again. But this is actually a standard action, which is actually, yeah, don't know. Today is a bit different, the behavior. Again, I need to refresh. Right. Let me go to the other sections of it. So you have the actions we go through. The analytics. So this is the analytics area that you have the new analytics that Microsoft have. And then if you want to sign up for the early access of the analytics, you can go here and sign up as well. So you have customer satisfaction, sessions, billing, and boost conversations. So all in the analytics section. And then you have channels as well. So yeah, it is giving me we failed to publish. I can republish again. So I can say publish. Let's see. Hopefully it can publish. Let's see. I'm not sure. Today there's lots of things happening, so I'm not sure whether it's going to publish, but let's try and let's show how to publish. So publishing is basically you can publish the latest the Copilot changes, right? And then once you publish, you can actually use the demo website and then try it out. Or if you have any channels like Microsoft Teams, I don't have the Teams here because I have a different license on this one, so I don't have the Microsoft Teams, and so I can't show because I think there's a separate license now, and I can't enable it on this trial one. But generally, if you have it in the Microsoft Teams, then you can actually publish into your Teams and then use inside the Teams channels basically. And if I go to the demo website, let's see, to show you guys like the demo website. So this is how it looks like. So this is like, you can try it like, so let's try another tricky one. How many matches um Virat Kohli played? Because it is tricky, because the reason is because some of them are use the AI. So the LLMs are trained from all the text, put in the text, whatever the time period that they were trying, like 3.5, I think, done somewhere 2022. So if any one of them played any match, I mean, because it trained from all the text. So like if the previous example I took Sangakkara, he actually played, I think he stopped playing after 2018 or 19 somewhere. I remember, or maybe from 2019 or 2020. So after that he was not playing. So by the time this is trained, like the Virat is like still playing. So this is a tricky question because it has to look at the correct one. But whereas the previous one, if you have enabled the AIs, then you can actually based on the previously generated LLM knowledge to answer, right? But this one, let's see whether it's giving me the correct answer. So it's actually 113 test matches, 292 ODIs. Yeah, correct. And then 1117 T20 matches. So it's actually accurate, and it's actually using the sources from the ESPN cricket for this one. So it is 100% accurate on that part of it. So this is how you can try it out and test your bot basically. And yeah, so you have overview, knowledge, topics, actions, analytics, and channel, and then you can publish it. And these are the settings. So here you can go and change your the Copilot name, and you can change the icon. So I think this has to be less than 30 KB. When you change icon, so you can go and change your icon here, right? And AI integration tools, you have different integration tools you can use. Generative AI. So this is actually using the generative AI preview. So previously I was showing on the So let me go back here to the overview. So if you disable this, the enable part of it here, then actually where I was showing here, this would actually move into the classic. So it's not using the generative preview basically. So it'll use the classic. Sorry, I think it'll be still using the classic, but it won't be using the AI part of it. So this is the generative preview. This will allow you to use the generative AI to identify the most appropriate combination of actions, and then it will move into that. Basically, this is the new one. The classic one build topics which are used to respond to user queries and match to the example trigger phrases you have provided. In classic mode, actions can be only called explicitly, adding them to the topic. So yeah, I think that one will disable this one if I remember correctly. Yeah. So if you see the security, so you can have the authentication. So there are authentication, no authentication. So this is also you can give like what are the authentication levels that you want to have. And then you have entities. So these are different entities like age, color, cities, date. So you can use these, entities inside the Copilot. And then these are the skills. So if you have a skill already, you can go and add these skills from the bot framework and stuff like that. You can add here. And then these are the languages, and then the language understanding, Azure Cognitive Services for language. So this is where it is all the settings. So that's changed. And then if you see here, you have to go to demo website. If you want to export the Copilot, this is the importing Copilot and deleting. And if you want to see the conversation map, you can put it on. I think the conversation map is the one which is having the problem today. And if you want to flag and debug mode, you can enable it. So I've noticed this is not having it, but if I go to check the new one which I created, if you go here and then check it out, you have track between topics as well, but the previous one didn't have. I'm not sure why. I think the one which I had, I think probably I tried to disable the AI feature, I guess. So that's what happened after that. This is disappeared, I believe. That's what I think. But yeah, you would see when you're testing it out. But these are my findings so far. And once you publish it, so let me go here. So once you publish it, you can also see the publish, the last published site, and then you can also access the demo website from here as well. So these are pretty much the, from the custom copilots. If you see here, this is the custom copilots, and then you have the Microsoft Copilot. So this is the one which I was mentioning earlier. Like if you want to extend the Copilot of Microsoft, this is where you can extend it. And here it's different. If you only have the overview and action, so you can add the actions. Here you go to action, and then you can connect or prompt or flow conversational. So you can have these actions on that. Copilot for sales, I think this is not supported in the current environment because I think probably I don't have a Copilot for sales enabled. I believe maybe because of the license. And then if you see here, Copilot for finance and Copilot for Copilot in SharePoint is coming soon. So that's what I can see. And also, if you want to enable, like if you want to have different themes, Power Platform Admin Center. So these things you can do. And then if you want to have the dark mode, you can also put in the dark mode as well if you like. Yeah, so those are pretty much what you can do basically on the Copilot Studio. And then let me quickly go back to my slides again. And then let me continue with the slides. So yeah, let me start sharing again. So we did this, we did that one, demo part of it. So how to implement Copilot. So basically, if you have heard about the initiate, implement, prepare, operate, that's success by design. So pretty much you can use the success by design as well for the Copilot implementations. And there is a Microsoft, this is a Microsoft framework basically for Power Platform and the D365 implementations as well. And this is designed, around three principles: early discovery, proactive guidance, predictable success. So these are the three. So this is how you can use it. Like the success by design is the method to use when you're deploying it, when you're designing and deploying. So If you have, so if you know about the typical success by design engagement lifecycle, these are the engagement lifecycle, how it looks like: initiate, implement, prepare, operate. So if you have worked on that, pretty much this will be the same approach that you'll have. And implementation guide. So there's a separate implementation guide you can use, like project overview. What is the overview of the project and what kind of architecture you're using? So you have to have a map of your architecture, right? So what are the sources that you're connecting to? What are the outputs? And then, what are the incoming and outgoing, all those systems that, linking back to the Copilot Studio. You can architecture the diagrams and stuff like that. And that's basically like the solution architecture or conversational, volumes of the conversations. What are the volume and the performance? Like how should be the performance? Like how much the waiting time for an answer and stuff like that. So you can have different, different requirements and different part of it on the solution, and then you can go through this implementation guide to put into place those ones. You have analytics and KPIs, which I was showing some analytics and KPIs as well. What analytics they want to see, what are the KPIs, and what are the feed gap and top request, application lifecycle management, security and monitoring, channels and handoff, what are the channels going to be used, and integrations, AI capabilities. So all of these, this will be the implementation guide, and there's a separate document, implementation guide document, so you can see which would have all these in there. So these are the Microsoft build, updates. So they were talking about the agent capabilities. So this is the agent capabilities which, operate, which will have the triggers which operate independently of the user. So basically, example, like maybe I think the example they were showing is like if the new employee, if a new employee join, then actually they can actually trigger and basically and power automate from the database, and then it'll trigger and power automate, and then it'll actually add the record back into the add a record and certain things like that. So it's basically triggering based on different triggers. Respond to events in addition to chat request, and act on behalf of company, department, or team, not just the user as well. So there are different agent capabilities you can build in by the look of it. So it's new capability, which is going to be exciting. And there are some other announcements as well, like the publicly available public preview in the build conversationally. So that's the one which we tried today. That's in public preview, which you can converse, and then you can build the Copilot. Not as the previous time, so you had to build in a different way. Now you can talk to it and then build it. And coming soon is the multimodal, which I was mentioning as well. So they are in GPT-4, I believe. But when I checked yesterday, I found it as 3.5, but I think it's 4 as I think they're moving, or they're gonna move into the 4. That's what was the update and the TMS build. And then also have the 4.5 sorry, GPT-4 will be the one which will be which is going to be move in here with the multimodal. And then you have the action enhancement. So it is in public preview. You have upgraded to now use GPT-4. So this is what they are mentioning even here as well. So GPT-4 and expanded in topics, enabling makers to have hybrid solutions. Safer defaults. So you have apply safer defaults and provide in product communication if those defaults are changed by makers. For example, all copilots are now created requiring authenticated access, and makers no longer have the access to transcripts by default, right? So, and generally available, build the Copilot with knowledge with Copilot connectors. So you enable makers to add and manage both public and enterprise data sources. Supported data sources include public website, SharePoint, and I think earlier you can only go to the level 1 or 2, but I think they have improved as far as I remember. So they had some improvement on the SharePoint level that you can go in the URL. And so that was there. And also the authentication. So this is generally available. So that's available. So that was the one which I was showing earlier, which you can do the end user authentication and the maker authentication as well. So these are new features, new capabilities, or upcoming features that we've discussed. And these are some of the references you can use to help to learn and see some demos and stuff like that. So if you want, you can have a quick screenshot on this one. You can use this to find some references on the Copilot Studio. And with that, thank you. I think it's exactly on time. But if you have any questions, please let me know. I can answer the questions. Do you have questions? Anyone? Feel free to unmute and ask if you have any doubts or anything like that. Cool. Thanks, everyone.